Do you believe in rock and roll? Can music save your mortal soul? Most research performed on the effects of music on blood pressure was completed following stressful activity. One study focused on tempo and reported that all fast music increased blood pressure. I did not find evidence of this in my experiment, because even low tempo music increased blood pressure in many cases. One study found that loud music negatively affected the heart rate and blood pressure. Background music is often heard in doctors' offices, but another study showed that blood pressure can be altered by the type of music played in the office. My hypothesis was, if the genre of the music has a fast tempo, then the blood pressure reading of the participant will increase after listening to the music for 2 minutes. Based on the results of my experiment, there was no definitive support for my hypothesis. Now, I used electronic pressure cuffs for accuracy. Preliminary readings gave a resting blood pressure prior to testing. There are 5 different genres, or types of music. Classical, the theme song of August Rush. Hip-hop, a song called In the Air. Rock and roll, Elvis Presley's Jailhouse Rock. Hard rock, AC/DC's Back in Black. And instrumental, a song entitled Devotion. Using metronome, songs with the fastest tempos were classical and hip-hop. The baseline of recordable change was a minimum increase of 6 points to the systolic reading. The majority of the 14 participants had an increase in both the fast and slow tempo songs. 36% of pressures increased in classical, which had a high tempo of 120 beats. 29% of pressures increased in hip-hop, which also had a tempo of 120 beats. 21% of pressures increased in rock and roll, which had a tempo of 116 beats. 57% of pressures increased in hard rock, which had a tempo of 92 beats. 50% of pressures increased in instrumental, which had the lowest tempo of 88 beats. Now, contrary to my hypothesis, the lowest tempos had the highest percentage of participants with increased pressures. I chose a wide range of ages from 13 to 87 and an equal ratio of male and female participants. I believe that personal preference could impact blood pressure results, and it is a reason why I asked their preferences prior to testing. One participant disliked instrumental music, yet preferred hard rock, and his blood pressure recording was the highest for both of those selections. Other factors that may have impacted the results of my experiment include anxiety, medication, and fatigue. Participants on high blood pressure medication were less affected because the medication counteracted any significant reaction to tempo. One participant became alarmed when his pressure went too high and remained high throughout the experiment. It became difficult for him to concentrate on the music. Another participant just completed a full day of intense military maneuvers, and his results were consistently low for all genres. In future studies, I suggest the following areas for improvement. Number 1. Assign one testing location. My tests were completed at participants' homes. One neutral location would eliminate distractions in a too relaxed environment. Number 2. Screen for hypertension medications and pre-existing conditions. Participants with no prior history of heart disease or stroke and not on heart medication may show a true impact from the music. Number 3. Increase the volume. A higher volume may keep the participant's attention focused on the sounds and not distracted. Number 4. A one-day experiment. I split my experiment into 2 days. A lot more time between songs and time for participants to be seated and relaxed. I didn't find that preference was an absolute factor in raising blood pressure, but it was obvious how certain songs excited participants, either in a positive or a negative way. Personal control over the music selection may reduce blood pressure, whereas genres that agitate emotions may increase the blood pressure. Music is therapy, but it depends upon how it is received. So, your preference might be an unchained melody or a slow ride, but it's still rock and roll to me.